Here's a look at a recap of your markets on this Monday, the 10th day of November. All the grain and livestock futures closed higher today in the green. Most of the commodities were sharply higher today. Taking a look at the cattle auction from Joplin Regional Stockyards on Monday, they're already done for the day. Of course, they got started real early this morning. 8,098 head. They didn't quite end up with as many as expected. The market there was mixed. Of course, we did expect that barn to likely be lower today, given that it was one of the few sales from last week, early in the week, that saw gains that most of the mid to late week sales did not see. That sure enough was the case today as the steers sold 5 to 15 lower. Heifers were mixed from 15 lower to 5 higher. It was also noted that quality this week was considerably lower than the offering from last week. The steers in Joplin, medium and large ones, 4 to 5 weights at 420 to 440, 5-6 weights at 375 to 405, 6-7 weights at 349 to 390, 7-8 weights 341 to 389, 8 to 9 weights at 331 to 343, 900 to 1,000 pound steers at 308 to 318. Feeder heifers, 400 to 500 pounds, 367.5 to 395, 5-6 weights, 346 to 375, 6-7 weights at 335 to 363, 7-8 weights, 305.5 to 351, some 8 to 850 pound heifers, 305 to 316. Box beef cutout values, choice was up 92 cents at 377.32. Select down $1.39 at $359.70. Those values based on 79 loads of cuts, trimmings, and grinds. A choice select spread at $17.62. Negotiated feedlot trade, really nothing today. A couple hundred head trading about even with where the market was last week. Not enough to test or establish any kind of a market yet this week. 79,188 head of confirmed negotiated sales last week. The weighted average price on the live sales at $228.94, down $1.95. Dress sales at $358.24, down 49 cents from the previous week. Taking a look at the closing livestock futures, live cattle, the December contract up $7.20 at $228.55. The rest of the contracts all up the $7.25 limit. February at $227 even. April $226.97, despite the fact tomorrow is a federal holiday. The futures markets will trade tomorrow. They'll be open, taking care of business as usual, and because of those limit closes up today, those contracts on the live cattle and feeder cattle side both will be operating with expanded limits tomorrow. Feeder cattle contracts all closed up the $9.25 limit today. November at $335.65, January $328.82, March at $323.22. Lean hogs got in on some of the gains today as well. December up $337, $82.77. February $82.82 up $347. April $86.67. We don't talk about a whole lot because we don't see movements like that in the hog pit very often, but none of those made the limit today. The limit on lean hogs currently $4.75. Turning our attention to the grain markets, corn contracts at the elevators around the state were mixed, 3 lower to 7 higher, beans 13 to 16 higher, wheat 8 higher. Corn bids at the elevators in St. Louis, 441 to 444, Kansas City at 424. Soybean bids, St. Louis, 1136 to 1137, Kansas City 1075 to 1080. Wheat bids in St. Louis, 509 to 557, Kansas City at 510. On the board of trade, corn contracts, December 2.5 higher, 429 3/4. March 444.5 up 2.5, and May up 3 cents at 453.5. November beans 14.25 higher, 11.16. January up 13, 11.30. March 11.39 1/4 up 13.5. Wheat contracts, December up 8, 535 3/4. March at 550.5 up 8 1/4. May at 559.5 up 8. Soybean meal for December up $2.90 a ton at $320 even. Soybean oil for December up 90 cents a hundredweight at $50.58. With the Missouri Department of Agriculture, that's your closing markets for Monday. This is Tony Hancock.